one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting to order with 4 present, and Langford will be absent today.
Mark
Okay,
Vick
Mike,
during the
the floor is
meeting.
all yours.
Thank you, reports. We are still progressing on the annual reports. Full road, culverts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 are complete. Culvert 7 is being excavated and pipe will be laid tomorrow. We are looking to procure a crane for culvert 4. Culvert 4 is a 72-inch culvert, so that's the reason that that's a little bit different. Some power interns are gathering survey data for W42, and when I left this morning, they were designing some culverts with help. W14 ditch projects are ongoing. Borrow operations with landowner for that fill is ongoing as well. K Construction will be working on Bridge 313 and 317A. 313 construction is to begin this week. The double U14 culverts are poured. The W14 culvert extensions are poured. They'll open those up and then start filling against those shortly. Lots of complaints. FEMA event for June 21st is not over, as reported last week. And staff's processing FEMA claims as we speak.
Did they extend the timeline of the older window, or is just the processing times extended?
So how the news came to me is how I can describe it. I talked with Sean, and he thought it had closed, and then that was because he had been given a certain amount of information, and then we had the conversation. What was it? Thursday, and he called in and said, "Is this event actually over?" And they said, "No, it is not." And so I'm not sure exactly why that information came to me that way, but he's working with the FEMA as best he can on all of that. So FEMA doesn't get, they're bogged down and can't always get to you right away. So that's kind of the issue there. But they had kind of asked for reports from Sean on the 12th. And that's why he thought it was closed. But we are lining up our claims, getting ready to be audited by FEMA whenever they're ready. So that's ongoing. We're looking for the third member of the maintenance shop team. I will be meeting with the maintenance shop head and superintendent today to go over the applicants. We have 3 applicants. Speed study for Middle Hesper is ongoing. The data collection will be finished tomorrow. We've got 4 weekdays worth of data on that. I gathered subdivision data for all the pavement and which subdivisions are county maintained. I've got that processed. I don't have the obligations for repavement worked out. So nor do I have a cost study finished. So those are forthcoming. We're still mulling phone carriers for our crew. Kueny Ridge Odyssey project pre-con meeting will be July 24th. That's Wednesday this week. Last I checked, August 12th is the expected start date. And Steve, you would know more on this than I do, but I know that the Spillville water main project is due to start in a couple of weeks. That's that's been coordinated with W4 projects through Stillville.
Yeah, Mike was there for the meeting and has all the details of it, all the minutes.
Yes, so, he was at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then we had a soil hauling operation that we coordinated with the, DNR, and that's finished. We're done exporting soil, but there's some cleanup that might still have to get done on that site.
With that, Kueny Ridge, the auto seal,
Yep.
will that be repaired to done to that road before you seal it, or?
Not repairs, there's gonna be some patching done, so we're not gonna do wedging and pouring or anything else.
Edges that are kind of broken down.
The edges will be addressed as best they can. If we can hit it with dirt patches beforehand, yes. If not, then we're putting the seal coat on, and that's as good as we can do. So
How many culverts are on Frankville Road, you know?
14,
So-
and then there's I think 4 additional culverts after that's all the culverts are installed that we're gonna do repairs to.
Oh, okay.
Because they're already basically they're already concrete pipes, and some stuff is moved, and so we're gonna try to tighten them up or put fabric over them to keep the soil from migrating into the pipe.
Give a dry August now, so that.
It would be great to have a dry August. So that would, I'm looking
When is
forward
the
to.
W14, when will that transpire, you know, got any?
We haven't, we expect to start sometime in September.
Finished by October.
We would hope so.
October of next year.
Well, W14, the true spill bill is gonna have, that's why that I reported on that water main project. Because that's kind of, that needed to come before.
Yeah, there was a 2 contract issue. It's Stillville, one of them was because of the water storage and pumping system. But it doesn't appear that that's going to intrude into the road space when they do the connection. So that should be clear. Should not affect the W14 fourth segment.
I'll spend some more time with Mike on that. I was not aware that he went to the meeting. I was aware that he was communicating with Daryl on that, so. Any questions?
On the FEMA. Are we going to do some education? Because if that's still open, is there some other sites that we may have missed that creates an opportunity for reimbursement?
I will be looking to coordinate that. Mondays we're pretty full on Mondays, so look for an email that will be sent to the secondary roads on a meeting like that. I'm gonna probably shoot for like a Thursday. Is what I'm gonna shoot for, at least tentatively right now. Just trying to get this mechanic spot filled is more priority than that meeting. As if we can get the stuff that we already have documented correctly or more thoroughly, that's what we're focused on right now. Just because we haven't had a big rain, but it will be important to do that in the future for sure. It's on my to-do list. And then I don't know if you and Mark want to meet after this. Okay.
Great.
Just, we can talk about that a little bit more with what we can, what we want done in that meeting. So, any other questions? All right, I will come back and see you.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is something that's emailed to all of us, the tax levies for all the township. I'll give each of you one, the rest will be over here. We all each one. This is really good information to have, so people know what the taxes are throughout the county. The comparisons.
I had a member of the public ask about this extra line on the agenda. Just, it had to do with a change in the public meetings law at the state level. And it didn't really affect your procedurally, but they defined a hybrid meeting as one where there are members of the board both in person and online. So to facilitate when people are gone and want to attend online, that's why that's posted that way.
You can start a claims.
Not yet.
What we got for consent agenda?
The minutes, claims, the VA monthly report, and liquor license for K-Town Tap.
I move to approve the consent
Got a
agenda.
first, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Any committee reports?
I've got Northeast Iowa Community Action tonight in West June. And Nordic Fest this weekend for anybody that wants to volunteer.
Shirley, that thing you sent out, passed out.
Oh,
I
sure.
have that one.
There's one open there on the table too.
Oh, well, you're passing them out.
Yeah, that's
I have
fine.
a county social services meeting on Wednesday, and there's a Hawk meeting today at 1, so.
We have a signed claims going around.
Yes.
Yes. I had met the VA, sat with them, and they're feeling good there. Public health, we got a contract with Vax Care for our vaccines. So we get paid just to administer them. We don't have to pay nothing for the vaccines. We contact them, they send us the vaccine, we administer it, we get X many dollars for doing a COVID flu shot or whatever shot it is. They're all rated differently. So cost us, and it's nothing up front. I mean, I trying to figure out where the catch-22 is to it all, but it looks all cut and dried. Yeah. There were 3 other counties right now have been doing it for the last 2 years, so it just saves on wasting vaccine and putting all that money up front to buy it. So it's to me, it looks like it should be a win-win all the way around. It'd be like, I thought they said 24 hours you can order. It should be there. Because right now you gotta order X many numbers of, if you wanna do a COVID, well, if you only use 2 or 3 of them, that's getting expensive. And they're over $100 a dose for COVID orders, so you don't want to keep any more of them around, and yeah, just hopefully it'll cut costs and make it a lot more, simplify things. And we had EMS Wednesday afternoon too. That was just pretty much discuss the FEMA. So any like them houses in Spencer, the max they would get is 42,500 per house. That's it. No, that's the maximum. And they have no flood insurance there, so.
There'd be a $600,000 house that you just built, and you get 42,000.
I heard that he guy made one payment on it,
Yeah.
a $600,000 house.
Oh, yeah.
42,000.
Yeah.
And we're missing, what did, very good thing that came out of that meeting is we're missing an opportunity for money that's allocated and sitting on the table, that if we don't properly document the damages that we have from all the way through, we may not get the full extent, but we're leaving money on the table that's already allocated and somebody's going to use it, and we're not taking advantage of it. So the education portion that was mentioned during Michael's report is really, really important for them because there's a lot of misunderstanding.
It's money coming out of our budget.
Budget,
To
yeah.
make the fixes that we're getting reimbursed for.
So
So
get
it's
reimbursed for and use that money elsewhere for other
definitely,
projects.
definitely be more aggressive about documenting that.
Other counties are doing it and we
And
are.
that's where education, just gotta educate the. I think they were at one shop last week, told the guys were very receptive of it. I mean, said, wish we'd have known this before.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Yeah, just gotta educate them. It's a huge deal.
Our new engineer is doing well in that respect for certainly.
Where's the signed version?
So, that, so, it's neat.
I think Sean was saying, and don't quote me, like 40% of the people displaced aren't moved out of Clay County and aren't coming back.
Back, yeah,
Mhm.
they. Yeah, they did like their job knows, they told them.
Their houses are totaled. And
Yeah.
so, so that would definitely impact your
Business
tax
too, they
tax
said are just.
income.
Yeah. A huge tax
Laws.
decrease on, county.
Nice shot.
Yeah, they can devastate that whole county could go bankrupt
Yeah,
for the government.
it's been the cost of fixing the road, I mean, they get a percentage. You gotta wait, taking tax base is gone. Take that many homes. Huge.
Three more minutes.
Did you, you guys met with DHS?
Yeah, yeah,
How'd that go then?
very good. Yep, Dan must call.
Yeah, they did, but
Yeah,
they're,
it went real good.
they're open for,
It's, they gotta meet with their, I don't know if it's their IT guy, we gotta send them a blueprint kind of where the rooms would be, and where the entrance of the, or where the IT would come off from the street, so.
be amazing.
should
So
be,
it sounds like
looks pretty,
pretty good
they're
chance.
excited about moving to town.
Okay.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, it just said it.
Occupying considerably less space than what they have up there that they
Yeah.
don't need to be using.
And they're working with John, they got a bunch of stuff the county owns, they're just marking sale. Sale where he's coming up to, it's just, yeah, just stuff like that, and then they're the shred, work with the recycling on shredding. Cause they don't need, they're all
They're all digital now.
digital now, and
So
all
with
that
the
stuff, they're just a lot of cleaning.
public health, we're kind of waiting to see what the DHS needs are gonna be before public health.
We already got that down.
So public health can start moving or?
Well, we gotta do a little construction, I mean. We gotta wait to get A-OK on the IT part of it, that'll work. Bring the state,
Yeah.
state line, yeah, is what.
They also, DHS also needs to check with state regulations to make sure they've got all their i's dotted and t's crossed for space.
They already said they would take the space, all they're worried
No,
about
they
now.
just have to go through another
No,
step
they-
on there.
The state has to
They
approve.
had the wrong information.
Oh, they never said that to us, so. Unless Dan, I guess, yeah.
I think.
They was basically the IT to see if that would work to get it in there for that gentleman.
And they had what, 8 representatives there
Yeah, there was,
going through it.
it's like two different kind of organization. Well, yeah, it's one deal, but it was two separate. And I don't know if they're entities or what, but yeah,
It's good.
two different department heads, put it that way. And the one, maybe he needs like 4 cubicles, but he didn't know if any of them would ever be used or not, or could be, depends upon if they come back and say they can't work from home anymore. That's the biggest factor there.
And the area that they need is not part of what public health was looking at
No,
for.
no.
Well, that's perfect.
Well, one room, we're gonna have to take one room. That's, I mean, they got half the employees that we're gonna have, so. It just can be one room difference is all, so it's easy. Yeah. So we can meet with them again. We can start, once we get a-okay from DHS, we can start.
Can we kind of, at the point of move, can we kind of clarify our responsibilities and their responsibilities? You know, I asked Ben this morning on our claims, why we're providing Amazon Capital Services for DHS office supplies. That seems rather,
The county, I think, is just required to provide certain office supplies. We pay their copier lease and we provide them internet and.
I think before we make assumptions, we should just look into it and find out what the
yeah,
facts
I
are.
think we need to find out what's going on, because we've got so many different expenses that come through on that, and it's questionable as to what
What we're
what
required.
we're required to do, and what is, I mean, I've never, state doesn't supply anything for us that way.
Yeah.
We've got a state office that we,
Well, it's 9:50. We'll move on to miscellaneous. Accept, file, publish treasurer's semi-annual report.
I emailed this out ahead of time, so you had a chance to look at it.
Any questions on it or anything? None, I
Oh, no.
entertain a motion.
move to accept.
Second. Got a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose. Motion carries.
And again, if public ever wants to see treasurer's semi-annual report, it's always available as an open records request
It has been in the newspaper.
and newspaper as well.
Second, go on to set public hearing for Storlie, Bohr, Novilla rezoning requests.
I talked with Tony Phillips about this, so we're gonna do this, proposing to do this on August 5th, 10:30, and make it the last agenda item, because the anticipate that will take.
Take an hour and a half.
Yep. Yep.
Entertain a motion for approval of the August 5th rezoning request
So
at
moved.
10:30.
So move.
Second. Got a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose. Motion carries.
And
Just
it's actually
That's also.
I mean,
public
a
record.
resolution.
Resolution.
I
Okay.
can have a roll call.
Mark? Aye. Shirley? Steve?
Aye.
I also.
What I was saying, trying to say is, if you want information on that project, it's a biodigester, you can go to the P and Z office and get all the information about it. Because it is a public hearing.
We'll move on to Northeast Iowa Responsible Group Agreement.
This came from the emergency management. The agreement we have where the city of Waterloo for helping clean up spills, hazardous spills. So we have an agreement with them and do that. And so it has to be with that county actually signed the agreement, even though it's.
And the verbiage is the same as it's been for the last whatever years, so we just.
We haven't had to use their services for quite a while,
Well, no,
but it's a good arrangement because we don't have to maintain all of that.
That
When it
equipment.
needs- when it's
well, then you have to
needed,
have somebody that's licensed to
Yeah.
certify.
Is this for hazard,
This is
Yeah.
hazard.
hazard
mitigation.
materials, right?
Yep.
I think the last time we used it was 10, 12 years ago. It was the train derailment near Kelmer,
Oh,
Yeah.
where they came up and helped clean that up.
so I'd entertain a motion for approval of that.
And- Go ahead.
I'll motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss an act on compensation board.
This one, the one thing I do have is that Jim Burns contacted me. He's been on the compensation board for several years. He said he'd be willing to come to a meeting. It was after I put the agenda out for this week. But if he wanted to wait, he would come and talk about the pros and cons of the comp board. So if you want to wait to do it, we could have him on the agenda, but it's up to you, I guess.
We don't have a full board here today, so.
So I would discuss, yeah, maybe
Next week.
wait until next week and
See if he can get on next week.
I invited all of the comp board members so we could hear comments from,
It should be a board's discussion, all board's agreement to do it.
No, they can get on.
Yours.
I can invite them to be on the agenda so that we can all hear their information at the same time. So if anybody else contacts you, Ben,
We'll try to get him on.
that'd be great to hear. Thank you.
You're ahead of schedule
Get a
again.
recess.
Yeah, I put extra time because I figured the comp board discussion would take a while.
We don't have the chairman.
Would the chairman want to have any questions from the audience today? We have time.
Yeah.
Nothing?
I mean, there's nothing, nothing on the agenda to discuss, so.
If they have any questions, it doesn't have to be just a conversation.
Should be on the agenda. Discuss things that are not on the agenda. Not funny about it, that's, I mean, if it ain't on the agenda, we don't have public discussion.
We often take questions from the public. It's up to you. You're running the
I mean,
meeting.
You often take questions, public, I understand.
You're open.
Sure.
That's just my opinion now.
Yeah, good.
May I ask a question?
It's up to the
Yeah.
chair.
Tax levies
Yeah,
sheet. The second part, the townships, there's PSD and SWSD. What does that mean?
Oakville Community School District, Southwind Community School District. That sheet is put together in my office as part of the process of calculating the annual property tax statement.
because it'd be walk-on, school district and Cresco too.
You know, we have 6 and
And
Turkey Valley
PSD would be
before.
before.
It's a good thing when people look at their tax bill and see what the different line items are. The way that it's laid out with the percentages and so forth. Sometimes it's surprising.
It was a small, one of the smaller, yeah, schools.
The only
Schools.
thing is why we have tuberculosis and Brucella.
Yeah, we still have
We
that.
still have that on there.
Yeah, I don't know why that. That just goes to the state then and go fund or.
No,
For every piece of property in the state of Iowa. It's pretty interesting.
it's not very much,
No.
but it's still, yeah,
It's
statewide, yeah. You know,
So the,
that's the only statewide levy too, property tax levy. And normally it's only schools, counties, local governments that have the authority to impose property taxes. But that one levy is a statewide,
I wonder how long that's been.
a long time.
long time.
Yeah. Probably a lifetime.
Was there ever a decision made about EMS having their own?
They're online.
And they haven't,
Never went through the legislature.
I don't think I'm hearing anything about it.
It's been presented 2 years, but it hasn't gone through both houses.
So Ben, is the property tax levy from the state, is that the general? Or
the general,
which is it on here? Is it?
it's that brucellosis and tuberculosis. It's in that, on the bottom, very corner, there's the county-wide levies. It shows there how much each of those are.
Those are the county, but not the state.
Right, but they're countywide.
Countywide.
Yes, so not all those are county levies, but they're the same for all properties within the county, so they're countywide levies. So some of them, like the community college, isn't just county levy either, and that's many counties, but it's the same for the whole county, so rather than listing it over and over and over again for every tax district, we put them all together, all the ones that are the same for the whole county are in that corner.
School district. Total exceeds the county by how much? 50%?
Probably close to that, yeah.
So if our levy is $10 million and the school district total levy is about $15 million. And it's interesting, there's very little questioning of how the money is ever spent.
They have levy limits that are based on the allowable growth formula for that the legislature updates each year. And so they get a certain amount of allowable growth, which sets the total dollars that they can take in, and then they get so much state money, and then the rest can be added to the property taxes.
It's a pretty significant number.
Yes. And there, just in case anyone cares, we will be having on September 10th, special elections in both Decorah School District and Howard Wynn School District. Right now is the two I know of. Howard Wynn is a, I can't remember what type of special election has to do with their tax levy authority, and Decorah's is actually two questions. One is their how they can spend their state money that's raised for the 1 cent property tax, and the other one is if they can impose a levy to pay back bonds. And then they're planning to actually have the bond issue question on the November ballot.
And that's for their new school facility planned over on behind Walmart.
No,
No.
High
Some
school.
of high school.
across from the high school. Oh, like
It's about 10
Tennis
million
courts.
over what they thought. That 38 million, something like that.
That number, but yeah.
Somewhere in that vicinity. So we gotta come up with a way on how to come up with that extra offset the.
Which if they pass that, then that goes to the line item on the tax bill for the quarter.
Decorah School District, yeah.
Gotta be separate.
It would, I mean, it gets combined, but yes, it's broke down as a separate, yeah, it's in addition to their normal.
On the tax bill would be a separate line item for that bond that they're paying.
You have a list for what is included under miscellaneous other. That's the second column here.
Is that what was in the bottom line?
I don't know. It just says miscellaneous.
Yeah, the Walmart land will be for the like, tennis courts and the softball diamonds and stuff like that. Or some of the athletic stuff. I don't know exactly what all of it, but
Through this formula, I was just talking about the state
I'll
law.
clear out that space anyway. It's a good savings for the school district to have it all consolidated.
They got to bus them all over.
Huh?
They got to bus them.
You'll have to have them down the bus coming to one place.
A few years ago, Mark, you can drove one of those buses.
4 years of bus driving.
Keith Ronald, I don't know how many years Mayor Keith Ronald Kellner's been driving a bus.
One day when I was driving, or Tierney, who owned a hardware store, he drove that thing. forever. I mean, it's,
It's very difficult.
Or Bell, she grew up, what,
Orville, she's
still driving,
she still does, yeah. She was driving when I, back in the seventies.
70s when we were in school.
The issue, the issues of speed on the gravel
Yeah.
becomes a real issue for the bus drivers. Because they've got that time limit, how long these kids are supposed to be. On the bus.
Yeah, an hour is the max. It's supposedly supposed to be on the bus.
Keith Ron told me he has to pick up one student at 6:45. Have them to the school by 8:05. So he has to be on the bus because of the length of that route for an hour and 20 minutes every day. And it says sometimes you got to go faster on the gravel than you do on other times. Is that true, Mark?
We didn't, my route was short enough, but I know back in Western Dubuque, which had a huge district because there were so many Catholic schools there, they'd have a drop off, switching to another bus to stay within the limit.
That's, I think I've heard that, Howard Winneshiek does that too.
Yeah.
To keep within the 1 hour limit, they drop them off and put them on a different bus, because then now that's a new ride, so they get another hour.
It's not, I feel bad for the students having to get out that early and then not get home too. So.
A lot of them have that breakfast in the morning, some of the schools, so they get there at 7:30. They have breakfast or can have it.
Yeah, that's why that road's posted speed of 25 miles an hour that we're on the ground that we're dealing with is school bus driver can't deal with it.
So who decides the total corporation taxes? Is that what that
It's
is?
the city councils,
City council, all of those,
those are each the separate city councils.
Are they, they have restrictions too on how much?
They have actually very similar restrictions to what the county does now, on how much they can go up or if they're forced to go down and that kind of thing.
About the ag land, who decides that?
That has a $3.75 limit set by the state.
Every year, I mean.
Yeah, it's been the same as long as I've been here. That's for ag land inside the city limits, that's the maximum.
And outside.
That's a
the-
formula,
That's these guys.
That's the formula.
which is what the productivity of the land
Productivity, price of grain.
over a, like a 5-year average.
5-year rolling.
Yeah.
Input costs.
Well, product or net income.
And the state calculates that.
I think probably only incorporated city with significant ag land would be Jackson Junction.
Yeah. That's the next thing everybody wants to incorporate. Or was there a lot?
Grandalia just did, I think.
Did they?
Well, that was one thing out of the EMS meeting that was brought up by Charles Snyder was this change in the OSHA laws by administrative decree. And I brought up the question about this whole thing on the Chevron doctrine, because what they're doing is they're writing law. And the effects of these new regulations could put serious problems on on volunteer fire departments and force most of them out of providing the service.
Because of the regulations, they'd have to take classes and
But
it
they're
was
talking-
costing so much money to do it, they can't afford to.
And the danger is that could put it back onto the county as a responsibility to provide fire protection. And boy, that is a very difficult thing. Volunteerism of volunteer firefighters is a big bonus.
Was this year Ridgeway was buying a truck?
What?
Was Ridgeway buying a truck this year?
Yeah,
This year.
We gave him money.
yeah, they had a fundraiser Saturday, I see. It was pretty good turnout.
What was the cost of that truck, Mark?
I wouldn't want to We have nothing.
Close to $1 million, wasn't it?
No,
No?
because it was 400.
Yeah.
I think, but they've gone up, but
Yeah, they're about $200,000 higher than they were.
yeah.
It
So I
was
think,
I guess.
400 plus is what kind of comes to mind.
Is that the pumper?
Yeah.
It's the
Water truck.
Yeah, water truck.
400.
We see none of that. That's not our.
Except if they come and ask.
Not asking.
it's for money.
For some help.
Give us some money, but yeah, we have nothing to do with what. Yeah.
That's the biggest chunk of those township tax.
Yeah, it's like fire.
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 Most of them are maxed out. I hear what they can.
And the fire chief is basically retired down in Fort and served for 50 years.
The cost was approximately 440,000 according to an article last August.
And that's a new,
New one.
That's new.
Replacing the Fort has a very old one.
Because the year before, Protovan, that area, they put up a new house. We donated towards that same amount towards that to keep it even.
And they were able to get, because of Ashley Hinson, were able to get some significant federal funding to help with that up.
it's really nice when you discuss some of the features of this report because I, for one, don't understand it all, and I like to hear about a little bit more about where it comes from and how you have to deal with it. So I appreciate that.
I think Zach Jensen did an article in the paper about your tax bill. The time, was it a couple months ago? Yeah. Understanding your tax bill.
Total rate went from what, 8.64 to
Our
9.76, yeah. It went up 1.3%, wasn't it? Did we put that on the general supplement?
General supplemental.
See, one thing on that one newspaper article, county correcting their mistake on the roadside. Property.
Oh, that. I didn't write that one.
And that was, it wasn't correcting a mistake. That was our road right of way regulations that he violated. It wasn't a mistake correcting it. It was simply reaching a compromise to benefit all.
Was there an error in that article that needs to be corrected?
But I was said it wasn't a mistake. It was because the roadside is a part of the right of way regulations on the roadside besides permit. So the thing, what was being accomplished was mitigating the dispute between property owners and the use of that as rather than abandoning it. And so there was a compromise reached, but it was not that we had made a mistake. We were just trying to accommodate all the landowners. Would that be a fair way to say it, Andy?
I'm sorry.
Oh. You're always the expert.
Conversation with you.
We were talking about the Peel settlement.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Still in the works. Discuss that with my editor and see if we can.
Well, it's 10:15. Andy? Cameraman?
Morning.
Who we have today?
I think Dan talked to the food factory on the lease thing there Friday a little bit, so I think next week we might put that on the agenda, I think. Discuss that a little bit.
Do we want to consider going ahead and having that meter installed by the electrician?
Might be good to have the conversation and find out
Well-
what Dan learned.
Yeah, we'll just put that on for next week.
Next
Told
week.
me I'll just put it on for next week and discuss it then, yeah.
Can you go over ex parte with us as a board?
So the issue came up at P and Z, I think this last couple of weeks or last couple of meetings that they had, and I assume that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
How it applies to all of us.
Well, it applies to any board or agency that is doing any quasi judicial function. So if, for example, you have a public hearing coming up on a rezoning request or special use permit or vacation of a public road, the court's analysis of this is all of you hear the information together in the public hearing. You don't do your own research, you don't talk to your own witnesses. If somebody approaches you and says, hey, I know quite a bit about this subject and I think you should do this, it's time to say no. Come into the public hearing and let everybody know what you know about it and try to educate all of us. Because, and the analysis is that in fairness to the proponent and to the objectives, everybody gets to hear what is coming to you guys for your analysis and what you're basing the decision on. It's a factor in those settings. It is, somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I need to load a rock on whatever. Not the same situation. I mean, you're still serving your constituents. You still have to have those communications. It's when you know that you have an issue that is going to be decided by the full board in a public hearing, or at least with a public discussion involved, that it's best to say, hey, it'd be much better if you talk to all of us, because otherwise there's a potential that I'm not going to be able to engage in the conversation or in making a decision, because if you skew my opinion to the point that I can't act impartially, I can't take part in that in consideration. So I think it's a little like going up in front of a judge. You don't want the judge out doing, or well, a jury is probably a better example. If any of you sat on a jury, you always get the admonition that, hey, what you decide on is based on what comes from the witness stand and it comes in as exhibits. Don't go out and do your own research. And that's basically what this ex parte thing is that you're asking about. Is you don't look up your own information. You bring in people here to explain what the issue is and how they view it as beneficial or otherwise.
So my question is the supervisors. I want to be the best informed person I can be. So can I look up my own articles? Is that considered a violation of ex parte?
Ex parte involves another person.
Right. So we can do our own research on
But I
articles.
also question how far you want to go with that, because I can do a Google search on a topic and find a range of information from here to here. If you feel that there's particular knowledge or information that you need in order to make a decision, I would suggest finding someone with the expertise to come in and explain it to everyone.
So that's hard in a public hearing setting because we're limiting What's the normal amount of time? People have?
I guess.
Yeah, yes, to a degree, if you're looking at definitions and looking at certain things, that's understandable, but
Right.
to do a deep dive into, items that may fall outside a normal person's expertise. And I think the topic with the stereo is one of those.
Mhm.
And to say, okay, I chose this article and I'm relying on that. Steve chose this article, he's relying on that, mark this article. Suddenly you've got a presentation being made where all of you have different viewpoints on what is the correct impact or the process that's being used. And I think that becomes dangerous because how do the people who are coming before you know what you are actually considering?
Mhm.
I mean, are you considering what's being spoken and raised at the hearing? Or are you focused so much on a single article that you're not listening to what's being offered? That's
So-
the danger.
People who, for all of our benefit, we can invite people who are in the business of biodigesters
Sure.
for this upcoming hearing. And we can invite people who have knowledge about risk factors on biodigesters, just to speak at the public hearing.
I mean, at that point, all five of you get the same information, and the people who are sitting out here get the same information.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's acceptable. Other questions?
I mentioned to Zach Jensen that article was in the newspaper that made the headline stated, the board corrected a mistake in the discussion with Peel. And
And I missed the article.
yeah, I don't believe, I didn't take it that we, as we were discussing Peel's violation of our road right of way, that we were correcting our mistake.
No, I agree. That was.
And frankly, that hasn't been settled yet, so it still should be
Yeah,
I
there's
don't know how it got out, if that's, if it was.
The
talking
details
about-
not in the article. It just did tentatively agreed on a settlement.
Mhm. Well, I read a petition for writ of certiorari is what the lawsuit was, saying that you had overstepped or done something incorrectly. The fact that that case gets settled does not mean that there's any admission that you did anything incorrectly or wrong. In fact, the settlement in this case would run directly contrary to that.
Does a correction need to be run on that?
I don't control the newspaper.
Yeah. And it maybe could be restated once the settlement is finalized, and then it could be restated at that point, that this is what was the final outcome is.
Not the final settlement,
It's not out there yet.
right? It's not finalized. But when it is, depends.
That's what I would say. Anything else for Andy?
Are you available at all this afternoon for a call?
I have a trial this week that I've been
Okay.
spending a lot of time on. It's a very short call.
I emailed you and you can email me back short. That's fine.
Anything else? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Moving on. We've got about every other issue. Plenty of time to cover.
Yeah.
Take a moment for adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
First and second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here.
I'll be here for office hours again after today's meeting. If anybody would like to stay, I'd be happy to. Those of you online, I'll shut the meeting down as soon as there's only two of us in the room. You. Only two supervisors, I mean. This was complicated.
I wanted to ask you a few more.
Well, you might want to have Ben stay for some of the questions. He's best at answering them.
There'll be busy people.
Have a good week, everybody.
Surely, these numbers here. Okay, so these are
City.
city.
Mhm.
So incorporated, does that mean?
The incorporated cities.
So this is what the cities need for their budgets. Here.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the ag land. And this is 30.
For each of the incorporated cities.
And then these are all the townships. So we're was the township.
This is the area that's outside the city limits.
It's the township. There's one township called Decorah. Only Decorah City, but here, the rest of the people are not in Decorah. Nice. I mean, it's okay.
And so they have different.
Yeah, no, Ridge Road, actually.
They do not have the
They
city
don't like the
levy.
city.
So only people in city limits pay city taxes. Only people in rural area pay the rural.
In the road. Now, we might get locked into that for a while, or we might have to do that. And our valuations, that all the people. Countywide. Am I answering that correctly?
Of the homes they have on hand.
Outside the city.
And in hindsight, we should be.
Well,
Before the state legislature handed down their rulings,
so what's going to happen?
we might have to cut services in some way, shape, or form. That's not okay.
And for the rural.
Well, and also frustrating. So 9,000.
You drive that road.
Roads and that line with concrete.
Yeah.
And I don't pay the fuel tax the same as.
The farming and the big fish.
So that could be an additional pot of money. Spare. Fuel is useful.
Yeah.
Subsidy to pay for that cost. That's my.
We're getting tired of having a
Electric. But you're still using your roads. You're still damaged, not damaged.
Very little.
No. You have to, people use the roads the same amount as my non-electric uses. So I'm fine with that tax being. If you're not paying a fuel tax, that's where some of the money comes from. So we gotta get it something, because you're still a user.
If somebody's breaking it's down 100 shares, then they need to be.
I think they should be paying a fair share and paying a fuel tax the same as the rest of us. And we should increase that.
And now you see all these pickups in town, well.
I know 5% of the life of pickup is used for actual pickup use.
They
Just thought-
they did change, I mean, most pickups pay the same, whether you have a pickup or Suburban, you're gonna pay the same.
But supposedly farmers who use their pickups don't pay.
Most of
They
them are not,
appreciate that off of their expenses as a farm.
that might be on their income
Yeah.
tax, their registration, unless they have a special marking on their plate, they're paying the same registration.